The report from special counsel John Durham this week was critical of the FBI's opening of the 2016 Russia investigation. He laid out many mistakes he believed that had occurred, but it is now astonishing how some on the far right took a critique and twisted it into something that it absolutely was not. Now, I believe many on the left are wrong to call it a nothing burger, but people can have different opinions on how significant it should be, or it was. They can't have their own set of facts. And in some cases, some on the far right who were counting on Durham to bring down what they called the deep state are now completely distorting what John Durham himself said in the report. The most stark example came during yesterday's White House press briefing with correspondent Philip Wegman from Real Clear Politics.
Talks often about how he wants the DOJ and FBI to remain independent and above the fray. That report seems to reflect the opposite. Does he agree with Special Counsel Durham that there needs to be wholesale changes at the FBI?
Again, that is with the Department of Justice. That's not something that I'm going to speak from the podium.
Putting aside how White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre should answer these questions or not, the premise of the reporter's question was just wrong. He claimed that Durham recommended wholesale changes at the FBI. Durham literally said the opposite. I quote from the report, "This report does not recommend any wholesale changes in the guidelines and policies that the Department and the FBI now have in place to ensure proper conduct and accountability in how counterintelligence activities are carried out. The answer is not the creation of new rules, but a renewed fidelity to the old." I mean, just a brutal misrepresentation. And he wasn't alone. Over on Fox, Maria Bartiromo wildly twisted another Durham finding.
The Durham report has finally been released late yesterday, and it confirmed everything that we've reported on this program to a T from back in 2018, that the Trump-Russia collusion story was made up by Trump's opponents, including the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democrats. The FBI pursued their investigation despite having no evidence.
Once again, that is not what John Durham said. He did not say there wasn't any evidence or the idea of Trump-Russia collusion was a figment of the Clinton campaign's imagination. Here's what he did say. He did say our investigation revealed that senior FBI personnel displayed a serious lack of analytical rigor toward the information they received, especially information received from politically affiliated persons and entities. In particular, there was significant reliance on investigative leads provided or funded directly or indirectly by Trump's political opponents. The department did not adequately examine or question these materials and the motivations of those providing them before opening a full-scale investigation. In other words, according to Durham, the FBI didn't ask enough questions about where the evidence was coming from. But there was evidence, and he never said it was made up. Then there's this from Sean Davis, editor of the right-wing website The Federalist.
The most important thing you can gather from this report is that the FBI is a domestic terror organization. They use their power, they use their influence to try and lie, try to gaslight the American people, to try and rig an election.
A domestic terror organization, rig an election? Well, if that were true, if that's what John Durham's report concluded, don't you think there would have been more criminal indictments? And if the FBI, by the way, had been trying to rig the 2016 election, why didn't they leak the fact that there was a Russia investigation before the election? Why did James Comey announce he was reopening the investigation into Hillary Clinton 11 days before the election? But most importantly, if John Durham believed that is what you should gather from the report, don't you think he would do a little more to bust up the terror organization? And over on Newsmax, Eric Bolling just engaged in wishful thinking.
The Durham report shows collusion between the Clinton campaign, the FBI, and the Obama administration. The Durham report implicates Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and the intelligence community in one of the biggest scandals in American history.
There is nothing, and I mean literally nothing in the report which shows any of that. Look, I take John Durham seriously, and his report and critique should be taken seriously as well. And that means actually reporting on what it says. but also what it doesn't say. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.